Explore the red work of artist Tisha Dolton. Learn about Troy Dance Factory with Nadine Medina. And catch a performance from The Sugar Hold. It's all ahead on this episode of AHA, A House for Arts.
Funding for AHA has been provided by your contribution and by contributions to the WMHT Venture Fund. Contributors include the Leo Cox Beach Philanthropic Foundation, Chet and Karen Alpelka, Robert and Doris Fisher-Melisardi, and the Robeson Family Foundation.
At M&T Bank, we understand that the vitality of our communities is crucial to our continued success. That's why we take an active role in our community. M&T Bank is pleased to support WMHT programming that highlights the arts, and we invite you to do the same.
I'm Matt Rogowitz, and this is AHA, A House for Arts, a place for all things creative. Tisha Dolton began embroidering in 1998 during her spare time at her summer job at the Saratoga Battlefield. Since then, she's gone on to create countless redwork portraits of extraordinary and often overlooked women from history. Let's head over to her studio in Glens Falls to learn more.
I am a historian, librarian, singer, embroidery artist. I work for a local public library. I was a public historian for the town of Greenwich for almost 17 years. And I embroider as much as I possibly can. My first job after I graduated from college was at Saratoga Battlefield in Stillwater, New York. And I was a seasonal interpretive ranger, and I needed an 18th century craft that I could do. I decided that I would teach myself how to embroider. It actually helped because the women who got dragged there by their husbands who wanted to talk about war would always be like, oh, my mother quilts, or, you know, something along those lines. So it was a nice way for me to interact with people. My interest in history probably goes back to my 8th grade history teacher. I did basically a book report for her on Elizabeth Blackwell, who was the first woman to receive a medical degree in the United States. And I was just kind of fascinated by the women who aren't really mentioned in the history books. My embroidery is very portrait-based. The type of embroidery I do is redwork embroidery. It's a fairly simple style of embroidery. It uses only 3 stitches. It doesn't have to be done in red, but red was the traditional color. The yellow wallpaper pieces are done in kind of like a charcoal color. I read a book by Charlotte Perkins Gilman called The Yellow Wallpaper, which is a short story. It's about women's mental health and postpartum depression. So I'm kind of exploring that with a lot of those portraits. A lot of the paper is ripped. The raw edge of fabric starts to unravel a little bit, so I've left some of the raw edges there so that over time they'll unravel more. And then I started slicing into the portraits. And people who were kind of used to embroidery as like, you know, this pretty little decorative thing that's, you know, on your grandmother's dresser are like, oh, you just destroyed your beautiful embroidery. I'm like, well, it's the point of the art. Like, I'm trying to, you know, to show that, you know, you're becoming unraveled, you're frayed, you're in pieces, you know, trying to play with that idea. But then I also do a lot of historic figures, mostly suffragists. In U.S. history, it's typically called the suffrage movement. It's the women's suffrage movement. So it's a social movement in which women are trying to gain the right to vote in all elections. So I decided that I would do a series of suffragists and then have them be tea cozies.
What's a tea cozy?
Trying to figure that out myself.
So a tea cozy is 2 pieces of fabric, usually with some sort of like batting in between. You put them over your teapot to keep your tea warm. And they work really well. And the reason I was doing suffragists on tea cozies was because there are a few ties with tea in the suffrage movement. One, they kind of akin themselves to the Boston Tea Party, taxation without representation. There was the connection that the 1848 Seneca Falls Convention was planned over tea. Then later on, ladies would create different blends and then sell those teas as fundraisers. There's a surviving example of a club in California, and their tea was called Equality Tea. And that's how I get the name of my eventual exhibit. The suffrage movement is important to me because, one, it doesn't get talked about. Social movements in general tend to get played down in history textbooks, in the general public. Instead, they talk about, economic history, political history, the history of war. And I'm not saying those aren't important, but the social movements are just as important. The social movements are what forces change. And once women got the right to vote, then the push comes for the other minorities that are getting left out. The black men and women who were trying to fight poll taxes and literacy tests that most white people didn't have to pass in order to vote. The restrictions on indigenous people, in which in order for them to vote, they had to give up their tribal representation and declare themselves U.S. citizens. So there was a big push for that. So all of these things, and I mean, we're still fighting voter suppression to this day. So voting rights is still something that always needs to be regarded and looked after and nurtured and fought for.
Choreographer Nadine Medina is the owner of Troy Dance Factory, which offers classes and connections to beginners, advanced dancers, and everyone in between. I'd definitely be in the beginner category.
Welcome, Nadine, to House for Arts today.
Thanks for having me.
I want to know, how did you create a dance factory? Like, how did you create this business? What was your creative journey?
Much longer story than what we have time for, but I'll boil it down to when I was like 7 years old, my mom enrolled me in dance classes in Gloversville. That's where I primarily grew up. And as I was thinking about this, because I think about it a lot, I think we had just moved back to New York from another state. So I think after moving a lot, I think it was like, let's find something to do every week that's consistent. And so I was doing that, and fast forward, 6 or so years later, we were having difficulties paying for those classes due to some personal home life deterioration. And so my dance teacher let me work to pay for those classes. So I was babysitting her daughter, assistant teaching, house sitting when she'd go on vacations, like watching her dogs, doing all that stuff. And that was how I was able to stay in dance. Which was pretty cool, but it was a lot of work, but it definitely showed me how much dance meant to me. Yeah. And fast forward after college, when I ended up moving back home, after graduating and moving around a bit, I went back to work for her again. And as a 20-something at that point, I took on a lot more responsibility with her, with like helping to run the show, picking costumes out, and I got to learn a lot more about the business. But at that point, I also had an engineering degree, and needed to pay my bills. So
I went to school for engineering.
yeah, I went
but
to school
became
for
a dancer.
engineering, came back and started dancing. So I found a job in Albany, and that meant that I was driving to Gloversville like 3 nights a week to teach, and that wasn't sustainable anymore. So I started kind of finding my own freelance jobs in the area, and then when I decided, like, I think I want to teach more out here, I should start training again, and I couldn't find anything that worked for me, that's when I decided, well, maybe it's time to create the thing that I wish I could find as an adult dancer.
And that's kind of crazy. A lot of artists on the show and in general, they're always like, oh, I wanted the space, but I couldn't find something that kind of fit what I needed, so therefore I'm going to create it. So
That's
I just
cool.
love this like trend of just like, especially with an upstate in New York, of like, if we want to see it, let's just create that space. And you did.
Yeah.
It's one of like the major dance studios in Troy, New York. So with that, what's your goal with this space?
So there's the goals that are like, I want this number of students and this income or whatever, but really, like, I always envisioned having a studio with multiple dance studios in it, and that's because I went to Broadway Dance Center. That's where I do my training, is down in the city, and there's like 7 studios or 6 rooms, and I'm like, oh, that's what I want, you know?
Yeah.
Obviously, it didn't start that way, but I'm actually, this fall, I'm gonna be up to 3 rooms, hundreds of dancers at this point, which is amazing. So the studio itself is doing really great. We're seeing a lot of people. As far as the dancers coming into the space, I want a space where everyone feels like they have a safe, place to be in the studio. So that's from the people who, I literally had these conversations with some of my newer students last night who feel like they're not dancers and they don't deserve to call themselves dancers, which is a lot of conversations that we have. What constitutes a dancer? At what point do you become one? And do we need permission? And so we work with people who aren't even sure where they're at on that journey, to people who grew up dancing competitively and still come to the studio and feel challenged by the work they get. So really, like, all levels, all different people who get to find a safe space and feel really comfortable becoming a new version of themselves as they learn more about themselves through the confidence they build at the studio. Like,
you really do have to build confidence with
you
dancing. It
have
takes
to
a lot
build
of confidence.
Yeah, but it's also like, sometimes that desire is really there. Like, you want to be a confident person and you know what it looks like, but you need the right environment,
Yeah,
to
kind
help
of foster it.
Foster that.
So how do you
Yeah.
foster that environment for dancers to feel connected, to feel safe, to feel supported? It's a very communal environment.
Yeah.
It feels like everyone has to work together to kind of meet a common goal.
Yeah.
So how do you personally achieve that?
When dancers come into the space, we do our warm-up, and then instead of me answering all their questions, I have them answer each other's questions. So I put the music on low, and I say, you've got like 5-7 minutes, whatever it kind of takes until I see that the work is done, for you to ask each other if you have questions from last week's material. So now, instead of me spending half an hour answering everyone's questions, in about 5 minutes, everyone's getting their questions answered by their classmates.
That's cool.
Which is awesome. And I'm there, I'm present and listening in case anyone gets misdirected or gets stuck, to like jump in and make that correction or help them out. But it's really fostered the sense of community. Classes don't feel competitive, like dancers are not competing with each other in the space, they're there supporting each other. They're being held accountable because they know they might have to help their classmates, but they also know that someone's got their back.
Yeah.
So it's super cool.
And that's important, too.
So important. And we have, I have an app too for the studio where dancers who are at the studio actually can be part of the app, and literally they'll post in the app, hey, I'm missing class this week. Does anyone want to come have dinner with me, hang out in my living room and teach me? And so they're actually communicating.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
It's
So,
really cool.
so it's like multi-layered of how you
Yeah.
like keep the connection and the
Yeah.
spirit going.
Yeah, it's really
Awesome.
cool.
And that kind of relates to your mentorship program that I want to make sure we talk about a little bit. And
Yeah.
How do you, choreo ball?
So it's actually Choreo Ball.
Choreo ball. Okay,
Yeah.
choreo ball.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like, give us some information, give us some background on that and why it's important.
Yeah, so it's loosely modeled off an event called Carnival: a choreographer's ball, which happens in cities all across the world, and it's where choreographers get to present like experimental works of art. Choreographers who are working in the field and oftentimes are creating for a client who want to just like create a piece that feels authentic. And I really liked that, and I wanted to marry an idea like that with an event for charity. So domestic violence is something that's very like near and dear to my personal experience in my heart, and so I wanted to create an event similar to the carnival, so I call it Choreo Ball. And so And we do it for charity, so proceeds for tickets go to the Unity House Domestic Violence Program.
That's great.
But the program itself is that our dancers, which are actually 95% adult, 5% or less in my studio is children. So our adult dancers get to apply to create and present choreography in April under mentorship. And so they basically are committing to presenting a piece, working with other students, other adult students in the studio, because I don't allow solos, because community building is really important to me.
Yeah, can't be solo in that.
Yeah, exactly. And then they are assigned a mentor, and so the mentor is one of the staff, so it's either myself or one of my my employees. And that mentor meets with them at the beginning of the process and throughout the process to help guide them on anything that they need as they're creating their choreography for the first time ever. So we have, we'll help them with everything from personnel issues, like, oh, we have someone who's just showing up late all the time or whatever, to picking out costumes that work for them, to reworking parts of the choreography that from our own experience we know might need reworking, to getting them through like getting stuck, like getting writer's block, but dancer's block.
Oh, okay. So it's a full mentorship. You're really giving them a lot.
Mentorship.
Okay.
Yeah, helping them learn how to edit. We talk to them about lighting, staging. I tell them at different parts of the stage, like how an audience might perceive the emotion. So we really talk through a lot, and by the end of it, they have a piece to present.
Oh, that's amazing. So it's important. So I would say this is really important for emerging dancers because they are learning all those pieces. They're learning from step one all the way to the end to how to choreograph a whole set.
Yeah, it's super cool because I actually have two of my current staff members actually started working for me as a result of what I saw from them at Choreo Ball, as well as during that 5 to 7 minutes of class time where they get to teach each other. So it helps me see like my dancers grow into teachers and choreographers, and then present to them opportunities if they want to work at the studio as I see their growth and interest. So that's been really cool. And then I think it's important for dancers who really want to learn more about their own voice in dance to take classes from different instructors.
If you were to have a dancer leave your studio, what is one thing you want them to take with them, carry them? What do you want them to carry out of that space?
Curiosity.
Curiosity. Now, why curiosity? What's that about?
Because my hope is that if they are leaving the studio for something, if it's not like moving or injury or something, that it's because they just are hungry to learn more that they maybe didn't feel like they were getting, or in a space that they didn't feel that they were getting it in. And so to me, that's just curiosity. Like literally, what else is out there for me to learn?
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, thank you. Well, thank you for talking to us about the Troy Dance Factory.
Thank you.
Do a little shout out. I know you do Full Out Fest. You want to mention how you're doing Full Out Fest? Give you a little promo for that before we end this interview.
Full Out Fest is August 11th this year. It's going to be at Riverfront Park in Troy, as it has been. And the rain date's August 18th. We've got probably about 15 vendors. I don't know how many dances, but maybe like 25 or so dances that we'll have. And then, food and drink vendors, the artists. I've got a lot of artists that I'm reviewing to, hopefully offer that platform to as well. So, rappers, singer-songwriters, bands. So it's going to be another really, hopefully, beautiful time.
Awesome.
But August 11th.
There you go, Troy Dance Factory, doing a lot for the community. Thank you so much, Nadine, for stopping by today.
Thank you. I appreciate this very much.
Of course.
Thank you.
Please welcome the Sugar Hold.
Change it up. I can hear the roar of people, I hear the portrait of sounds, I can see the city lights, they are sparkling downtown, I can hear the explosions bursting in the air. The city streets are streaming, everybody's there. Oh, those city summer nights are worth wasting the days till the city streets start calling, calling my name. Oh, it's over again. The streets are calling out my name. That sounds like a dear old friend. I can hear it all so clearly, although it's been so long. I can hear the people singing that same old song, and I don't know how, but I know it's all still there. So I'm calling out one more time, if anybody cares.
Thanks for joining us. For more arts, visit wmht.org/aha and be sure to connect with us on social. I'm Matt Rogowitz. Thanks for watching.
Funding for AHA has been provided by your contribution and by contributions to the WMHT Venture Fund. Contributors include the Leo Cox Beach Philanthropic Foundation, Chet and Karen Alpelka, Robert and Doris Fisher Melisardi, and the Robeson Family Foundation.
At M&T Bank, we understand that the vitality of our communities is crucial to our continued success. That's why we take an active role in our community. M&T Bank is pleased to support WMHT programming that highlights the arts, and we invite you to do the same.